Hi, y'all, and welcome to Good Deeds and Dirty Work. I am the co-founder of Good Deeds Cleaning Company and Good Deeds Haul It All alongside my husband, Eddie. This is where we talk about real life in business, building it from the ground up. And I'm glad y'all are here. So today we're going to talk about in the cleaning business, we've made some changes recently. We're learning as we go, like we build things one way, set things up one way, and then realize like, hey, there's a better way to do this. So we're just going to share this in real time. From the beginning, the shift from being a solo cleaner to a CEO. It's still hard to believe that I have two employees that are reliant on me for their hours and their paychecks. I still wake up in the mornings and I'm like, holy cow, I am legitimately running a business. It's not just me anymore that I'm having to worry about. Um, so, I started out solo cleaning. I was the one doing all the cleaning, scrubbing all the toilets. Um, I had every hat. I was the cleaner, I was the owner, I was the one that talked to the customers, the marketing, I did everything and I still do. Um, that hair's driving me insane. Um, I just don't clean as much now, but I still jump in there. So, I would say I got a house that at the time was the biggest house we'd ever had. It was a 4,000 square foot house. Um, and I cleaned it all by myself, did a deep clean. I was sick as a dog that day. My allergies were killing me. And I just kept telling myself, you just got to get through this house. Just get this house clean. Just get this house clean. And I did it. Um, I was dead by the time I got home. Um, and that's when I realized, like, okay, I need to bring somebody else in with me. So I did my first hire then. I will say I was so nervous. I was so nervous about hiring because no one's going to love my business the way that I do. Nobody is going to clean the way that I do. No one is going to take the same care that I do. Um, that's a really hard shift to make when you are the one building the company from the ground up and you bring other people in and expect them to have the same level of respect for your business as you do. Um, of course, this isn't their business, but if you can find those traits in people, and there are some people out there still, I have two to prove it. Um, but they do take pride in their work and they do take constructive criticism and um, they do want to see the business grow because they know that if the business grows, you know, it's going to benefit them also, their pay, all of that. Um, I'm almost to the point to have to hire again. I hired my first employee in January. Just backstory, if you haven't seen any of the other episodes, I started the cleaning business in July of 2025. I hired my first employee in January 2026, had to hire again in February 2026. So I now have me and two employees. Um, Pretty positive. March 2026, if it keeps growing the way that it is, that I'll be hiring again. Um, and I'm still nervous about it. This will be my third hire, and it still makes me super, super nervous because I am sending somebody into other people's homes. I am, taking that responsibility of these people are going to do a good job. They're going to follow the same quality as me. Um, I don't have it as much now, but there was definitely a guilt. Um, the first time that both my girls were out cleaning, and I was not out cleaning, I had some guilt, like, ooh, this isn't, this doesn't feel right. Now I wasn't just sitting at home twiddling my thumbs. I was getting office work done. I'm also a member of the Weatherford Chamber of Commerce, and so I've really been doing a lot of networking over there in Weatherford, and I'm born and raised Weatherford, but I have lived in Mineral Wells for 17 years now. So I'm both. Um, and so it's freeing up my time to be able to build the business on top of getting all the office work done that I was having to try to get everything done on the weekend while I wasn't cleaning, on top of having to get my house clean. Um, so there was some guilt there. There was, and I won't say that there's not still, but it's not as prominent as it was. Um, just learning that that's part of it. That is part of what being an owner is, I guess. So, um, I absolutely love it. I love the fact that I'm able to go do these networking events. It's really opened some doors for us. We've gotten a couple commercial properties now that we clean, due to the networking that I've been doing at the Weatherford Chamber of Commerce. And I've met some really amazing people over there who are just jumping in to help support my business by spreading the word of my business. So, um, I truly, truly appreciate everyone I've met so far at the chamber. Um, I've just finally got to the point where I realized if I stay clean by myself, there's no way that I'm going to grow, and I'm going to be dead exhausted all the time. Um, I fill in if one of the girls is out sick or needs a day off. I still do the deep cleans, post construction cleans, move out cleans. We just had our first Airbnb um, that we did, or I did. That was neat. Gorgeous property out at Lake Palo Pinto, and something happened with their original cleaner and they needed a last minute clean. And so that kind of got my foot in the door there. I was super excited for that opportunity. Um, so my plan for the cleaning business and the hauling business for both businesses is to build them, not to be some major corporation, but to be a nice local business. We're still family oriented. We're a family owned business. Our kids come and help us when they're not at their jobs. And that's who we are. We're about community. So I I don't want to grow it huge, but I definitely knew that it needed to grow. And with the amount of calls I was getting, there was no way I was going to be able to do it on my own. So um, that's when I really realized, like, okay, we're going to have to start hiring. Um, so to get to the point of letting go without losing the standards and the quality that I expect and that I provide, I had to create checklists. Um, there's a different checklist for each type of clean, and then we can add on there any specialty items that that specific client wants. So we have a checklist for post-construction, regular maintenance cleaning, deep cleans, commercial cleans. Um, I have not created one for the Airbnb yet because that was my first Airbnb. So I will be working on that, getting that checklist done. And it's attached to every ticket, whichever type of clean they're getting, that's what checklist gets attached to there. A copy can be emailed to the client if they want it. Um, and that way they see what's getting done because we also put on rotation the deep clean items. So they will see when when was the last time our ceiling fans were done or the baseboards were wet wiped. And so that's been really nice to make it where they're held accountable, but they also know what has to be done. So I know what I expect to be done. It's added to the checklist. Um, I'm also working on a route board because we are so spread out. You know, we have houses. Um, we have one here in Mineral Wells, and then we have Lipan, Santo, Gordon, Granbury, Weatherford, Garner. We've done a couple out at PK, Lake Palo Pinto. And so we're kind of all over the place. One here in Mineral Wells. I don't remember if I said that, but so we're kind of spread out. And so I'm trying to get it to where we have one area in that day, or at least if it's on the way. So I'm creating a route board that has all three of us on there, and where we're at for that day of the week. Almost all of our clients are biweekly, so it really gives us, we have two sections. We have A, which is week 1 and 3, and then we have B, which is week 2 and 4. And we know what area we're in. So if somebody does call and wants to get in on a scheduled maintenance cleaning, then I can be like, okay, well, we're in Granbury every other Tuesday. Would this time and day work for you? And get them where we're not like a ping pong or a pinball machine bouncing all over the 3 counties that we're doing. Um, so just trying to get that scheduled and organized better. We changed our pay. So I charge on the cleaning a flat rate fee. I look at the house, I know about how long it'll take, and I say, okay, this is how much this is, depending on if they want any extras, depending on how many bathrooms they have. Um, so I charge a flat fee. I started paying the employees hourly at first, but being that I don't charge the client hourly, I really felt like we needed to change that. So I have the employees are paid a flat fee per house on maintenance houses. And then for deep cleans, move out, and post constructions, those are still paid hourly because you never know what you're going to walk into sometimes on those. Even on a walkthrough, we had a house the other day, last week we did. It was a move out clean. And I really thought it would take us 4 hours with two of us there. We were there for 7.5 hours. So that's not fair to my employees. So they still get paid hourly for that. And so it's kind of a split pay. We do a tiered driving pay by mileage. So depending on how many miles they drive to a house or in between houses, they have a flat rate that they get paid for that to make sure that that's covered. I had to put all these systems into place so that I was not having to micromanage my team. I have to put trust in my team. And I also have, I also spoke to each of my clients like, hey, we're bringing in this employee. If you have any issues, let me know. Know that we're still in the training phase. Okay, now we're at the phase where they're going to be cleaning solo. There haven't really been any main, like, big concerns. We've had a couple things where small things were missed, and the clients are super understanding and they let me know. And I use that as training and said, okay, hey, we missed this. We need to make sure that we're checking these things. That's what the checklist is for. Make sure. And there was one thing that I didn't have on the checklist. You can never assume common sense. And not saying my girls do not have common sense, but saying you cannot ever assume that someone's just going to know to do it because you know to do it. And I had to realize that like, okay, well, I know to check this, but they didn't know to check that. And so it gets added to the checklist. And I always let the girls know, like, hey, this checklist has been updated. Go over it, look at it. This is what we need to do. And they've both been absolutely great and have done amazing. The clients love them. It's truly, truly been a blessing. I just, I've had to learn to trust my team and to let go of some things. Um, but it's been amazing because it's given me the time I needed to get the office work done, even though you can't see my desk right now, thank goodness, because it is a mess. But um that's what I'm working on after I finish this podcast is getting everything put where it's supposed to be. Um, so, the systems help protect my sanity and they're changing constantly. Like I'll find another way to do thing. I constantly am listening to podcasts of other cleaning business owners, other junk hauling business owners on how they do things. And if it sounds like something like, hey, I didn't think about that, I need to see if I can implement that. And so I'm constantly changing how I keep up with things, creating new spreadsheets to keep up with numbers that aren't necessarily numbers that are on Jobber or QuickBooks. Um, so it's changing constantly. I'm learning more and more and more constantly and implementing those things and just learning how how the best way is to run this and to manage this and to keep up with this. I'm always excited when the girls have something to say or an idea. Um, and if it's something that really seems like it'll work, we're definitely going to put that in there. I'm always open to listen to any ideas that they have. Um, the money changes everything with employees. Now I've freed up some of my time, but I've added the stress of having to watch payroll, knowing that their check is dependent on me. Um, it can get a little stressy. I didn't have some big bankroll sitting in the bank when I started my cleaning business. I literally had um, an extra vacuum, an extra mop, and some cleaners, and I dove in head first, honestly. Um, I didn't have a big amount of money sitting in the bank. In fact, when I started, I was still working my full-time job up at Randy's Service Center and cleaning, 2 days out of the week. And then it just kept growing and growing. I'm working on getting a cushion built up, but that's slow going because I have insurance and I have my van payment and I have payroll, my Jobber subscription that I pay for my scheduling, my QuickBooks subscription for my, bookkeeping stuff. So there's money going out, and so it's not building as quickly as I would like, but it is building. So we're still going that route. It's day by day, week by week. Um, and just constantly watching those numbers, constantly making sure the money's where it needs to be. Like, okay, if I need to get some supplies, what's about to come out of the account? Do I have enough sitting in the operating account? And I know I talked last time, I have multiple accounts. So payroll automatically gets withdrawn out of the operating account and goes into a payroll account. That's where their direct deposit gets pulled from. So it is never sitting in the operating account. Payroll has its separate account. Operations comes out of its account. And that's just how my brain works. I have to have it all separated. And it makes it flow so much better for me that way. Um, and then just not getting anything that's not needed. Um, Making sure that we're not overdoing on anything. We keep up with inventory now a lot better so I can see, okay, how quickly are we going through these things? To just watch the money so that we can get that cushion built up in the payroll account and in the operating account. I do not take a very big amount each week. I actually take a very small amount each week for my pay just to cover part of the personal bills that I need to cover. Um, but I've really tried to scale down what cleaners we use. I found out what works, what doesn't work. And I did all that at the very beginning when it was just me. And so now I've got it set to about 5 or 6 cleaners that we keep on hand, and most of them are concentrates. So we can just make it up. You use just a little bit, put water in there, and it saves us some money. So, I mean, those are the things that have really changed, changing from a solo cleaner to being a CEO and running the business. If y'all have any questions, y'all don't hesitate to message me. Good Deeds Cleaning Company on Facebook or Good Deeds Haul It All on Facebook. And if you would like to be a guest and come on the podcast, I mean, entrepreneurship, how did you build your business? If you have questions for me, or if you want to come on and talk about your business and how you got to where you are, and send me a message and let's get on this together. I'm all about community, all about other small businesses building theirs, building their dream. Like that's what we're doing right now. And it's hard work. It is not easy work. Um, I have faith that that day will come where I can sit back and the business will be running itself for the most part, but we're not there yet. We're in the trenches and we're building this every day. So, y'all have a great day. Um, follow, like, and follow the podcast. Share the podcast. If you want to be on the podcast, send me a message and let's dig in the trenches together, guys. So, y'all have a good one, and I will see y'all next week.